Bitcoin vegan. We have BBB's very own. Pleasure to have you on, man.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good, good. So, I definitely briefly met you at the conference. I'm kind of like the new kid on the block and just starting out, but like you guys are such an inspiration. I would say for me, just being in Bitcoin for the last 5 6 years, and always wanting a community, right, and a place where I can call home, where there's like-minded individuals, and seeing what you and Lamar and Isaiah and Naja Roberts are doing, and it's like, man, there's people in our space that are representing for us and elevating our voices. And I was like, man, I see that and I want to be a part of that. So you definitely are the guys that made that headway and showed the blueprint. So I appreciate that.
Hey man, no problem. Sometimes I don't even really think about it, but wow, like it
It's
really
real.
makes that big of an impact. So yeah, that's definitely dope. I'm glad to be a part of BBB. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and not just during Bitcoin, just in like history in general. So I mean, like I say, this is very major. To have what in 6 months, 100,000 followers, and then within less than 30 days, you get another 20K. So it's like the growth is crazy, and it's just going
Yeah.
to continuously go. That's why you got to reach everyone. You got to try to find a way to reach everyone, and just run it home, man. Run it home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, uh, and I wanted to get, you had a recent tweet, and I'm going to read it out right here, and we'll get into the Bitcoin journey. But this is recent. The third characteristic shared by impossible slayers is what I've come to call the habit of ferocity. This is the ability to immediately and automatically rise to any challenge. Whenever peak performers encounter life's difficulties, they instinctively lean in. In fact, they lean in before they can even think about not leaning in. In the face of life's obstacles, the best of the best don't have to worry about staying. Damn. What does that mean to you, and how has that informed your Bitcoin journey?
You always got to step up. God damn it, you got to step up. Like I learned that. I learned that through life. Like if you ever want to make it, you just got to step up. It doesn't really matter. Like even with all the adversity, all the bullshit, all the I don't have the money, I ain't got enough, or I don't make enough. Bitcoin costs too much. Man, who gives a fuck? You got to step up. Like that's just something to go through. Like not go through, but like go through. You know what I mean? Like actually run through it. I mean, because outside of that, you're just gonna always succumb to excuses that seem legit. Oh, it just got too hard. Well, I had to sell Bitcoin to pay my rent. I mean, eventually you got to break through that shit. Otherwise, you're gonna always lose Bitcoin to rent,
Mm-hmm.
and
Speaking
and
to
you're gonna
that,
always end up
yeah.
having to spend it when Bitcoin is in the bear market.
Mm. Especially these times right now. This really shows, all right, who's the real Bitcoiners and who's just there for the hype when everything is going well. We're at 60, 70, 80K. That everybody is having feasts and parties and, popping champagne. But okay, when these days, all right, well, do you stand true to the philosophy? Do you stand true to the principles? And this would really build you.
Yeah, that's what builds wealth. I mean, and we got to give it to the fact that our people are still fresh out of like slavery, damn near. But you get to learn the ways of how to obtain wealth in Bitcoin better than you do anywhere else in the entire world. Um, this is the only industry you really get to see how much the world's most wealthiest people fear of losing the value of their money. So value of money is being put on display in Bitcoin to where people would never think about. Hey, well, I had a client, right? They said, well, what do you think I should do about my 401k? Of course, I said this isn't financial advice, but I
Yep.
was like, what makes you want to leave it in there? So what makes you want to put it in Bitcoin, whatever? They said, but what if it looks? So I said, let's do a scenario. Let's just say you buy whole Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes to 12K. How do you feel? I feel like I made the wrong decision, this, that, and third. I'm like, well, I ain't have enough knowledge on it. I said, well, let's be honest. The price of Bitcoin has tanked before and rose without you even having knowledge on it. So your knowledge on Bitcoin doesn't really matter. However, if you're looking at this as a dollar value loss, look at what's been happening with the dollar in your through your 401k. So how much was bread when you were a child? How much was like a month of groceries? It's like $50. Like a month of groceries now is like $400, but it's the same damn food. So there has been no value changed over to add more price. And so, once you open that mindset, I think, he overcame that hurdle. Because it's still a hurdle you got to overcome in your brain. Like, am I really going to do this? And it's like, you you should. That's why it's like buying Bitcoin is like a muscle. You just got to keep working. Just like working out in the gym.
So the mentality you're speaking towards the mentality and the shift, right, from a
Mm-hmm.
fiat system where the money that I have today, tomorrow it's going to be less valuable, right?
Yeah.
So it's always you're chasing, you're always the hamster on that wheel. You're working, 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 but the more you work, the more your money is being inflated and you're losing purchasing power, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this shift into the Austrian economics is like, okay, the money tomorrow is actually more valuable than the money I have today.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we convince a generation, a culture, or even with your clients to make that shift to, hey, this is what's valuable and I hold it over a long period of time and watch that rise? How do we make that shift, that mentality shift?
People have to go through like a significant loss almost. They don't need,
Oh, that,
well,
that
or
has to
you
be
have to go.
painful.
Hell yeah. I
I'm trying
mean,
to be optimistic. He's like, no, you're gonna have to hit it. You're gonna have to
like
get
you
hit
you'll
hard
have to hit some
to
type of
learn.
reality,
Yeah.
especially if you have people around you talking about Bitcoin and like, oh, you guys are stupid, or they don't want to follow along. They have to hit a real reality, like yo, like it happens all the time when people talk about altcoins and
Mm-hmm.
shit coins, where people start thinking, oh, we're gonna make money on these, and it's like, all right, and you just looking at your wrist, like it's only a matter of time before the truth starts setting in, and that's it. The truth will really, or this, or you have an awakening moment where you realize you did not have the path to wealth like you thought. Any way you look at it, you're gonna have to get slapped in the face. Like for me, it was prison. Coming home from prison, Bitcoin's like, hi, let's go. Yeah, this is easy. This is a layup. I mean, who cares? What like I had no fear and I have no fear of whatever takes place. You know what I mean? Because after a while, common sense just starts kicking in. Like the orange pill forever. Like people think the orange pill is like, oh yeah, you orange pilled them. This shit spreads slowly over time. I can tell you something now, 2 years later, like, yo, you remember that thing you told me and I just threw it off? Yeah. I see what you mean now. I bet. Like it could last forever. So I mean, you have to go through a real awakening of, and a lot of people still have it. They still have it. They still hold on to hope of a system that's totally flawed.
Right. And I found it, especially in the BBB clubhouse rooms, um, and it might be attributable to our rise in to 100K, 120K plus, and so quickly, just in 6 months. It's something about our community that inherently understands. Once they're exposed to what the system is, the light clicks, and I think that might be the reason why we've sort of accelerated so quickly, because we're teaching them like, hey, self-sovereign principles, this is not a get rich quick scheme. It's something completely different from what they've heard, but they know their day-to-day lives, just
Bro, nothing was working. Just keep it a buck. Nothing was working. Nothing was working. Nothing was working, bro. Nothing was working.
yeah.
Just say it.
What,
Shit.
what
Nothing
else?
was working. Nothing given was working.
Mm-hmm. No,
Like, yo,
yeah.
and then the
What else
constant,
we gonna do?
yeah, I mean, what the hell else? And then the constant messaging, constant news, constant education. You can, man, listen, you can sit on, if you don't know nothing about Bitcoin, if you are flat down on your wits end and
Yeah.
you can only operate off of Wi-Fi,
Mm-hmm.
goddamn, you could be on Black Bitcoin Billionaires all day, every damn day, all day, every day. Find a way to start making some money. Buy Bitcoin a little bit. I'm talking about, bro. Like it is like broken down to the smallest degree of how poor you can be and come like off of Black Bitcoin Billionaires.
Yeah. And there's so many
Like it's that
stories.
damn
Yeah,
simple.
of that.
If you
Mhm.
have nothing, you can go find Wi-Fi.
Go to your local Starbucks.
Yo,
All
go
right, they got free
Starbucks, get on
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, put on
Yeah.
some headphones, listen to Black Bitcoin Billionaires, write down as many notes as your ass can. Go compile a way to go scrape up some change, buy some Bitcoin, do something, shit. You know what I mean? Like hell, that's the level that our people started at.
hmm
Yeah.
So let's talk about your journey. How did you find Bitcoin, and when did it really sort of click for you, and what aspect of it really clicked for you?
So I found Bitcoin in 2016. The events leading up to Bitcoin started way back in high school. As everybody knows this story. Just a whole turmoil of stuff, homelessness, death of friends, witnessing it, going to college, being affected, just holding on to damage from, you know, bad financial situations in life in general, dropping out of school, then making more desperate decisions, going to prison for 3 years. And in prisons where I just learned that I knew I learned how to learn. Like learning, I focused on actually how to learn. And like when then one time I was just thinking like, damn, how the hell did I become a baker? I ain't know shit about baking before I came home. Before I went to prison. What the fuck was I doing baking? But you just look at like things you end up adapting to learn when you have to. So when I learned about Bitcoin, that's how I looked at it. Like, well, let's just make this something you have to do because you have to. Shit. So when I first heard about Bitcoin, I learned about it from Isaiah Jackson, Bitcoin Zay. We've been knowing each other since we was 11 years old, playing the same AAU team. And I saw him at a gas station one day, followed him on Instagram. His name was still Bitcoin Zay. Um, then we, then my granddaddy got scammed with a miner, but I have the miner. I got scammed at $150 by somebody using Bitcoin on some lending platform, saying like, "Oh well, if you give us this amount of money, if you make this investment, we will give you a dividend payout over 60 days of compound." Just sounded real legit, but wasn't worth anything. And yeah, so I showed it to Zay, and Zay said, "Yeah, take your money out." Okay, I couldn't get it out. He said, "I told you it was a scam." So from that moment forward, I was like, "All right, Zay, whatever the hell you say, bro, I'm gonna ride with." So that was in 2016, and like Bitcoin was like 600 some odd dollars. I was buying Bitcoin all the time. Like I had a business I was doing. I was vegan. I'm vegan, so I started a business called Bitcoin, not Bitcoin vegan, but vegan on the go, where I was just driving and delivering food I was cooking out of my house, uh, buying Bitcoin with it, some of the money. Um, but my introduction to Bitcoin was just about noticing, like, damn, there is a lot of freedom here. There's opportunity, but it was just everything seemed like it was so old already, and I was so far behind. I was just like, I need to find something that's almost brand new to the whole world. And at that time, Bitcoin's like only 7 years old. I'm like, yo. I looked at a 7-year-old kid. I'm like, okay, this is good. We can do this. And everybody that was like, intelligent around me, that had some type of sense, business sense, financial investment sense, they said, I stay away from it. It's not really all that. I'm like, you know what? That's my cue. Because if y'all are smart in your industry, but don't see the value in this, that time that we're it's over. It's time to move on now. So just indicators like that. There were some meetings I would go to for like entrepreneurs. And me and Zay would go in there. We were like, 25, 26, talking about Bitcoin. They were like, yeah, okay, whatever. And they would just brush us off, and we would just look at like each other like, yeah, these people are crazy as hell. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, so yeah, my introduction to Bitcoin was just kind of kind of a wild run, but yeah,
But
it
we
came
here.
out. It
You're
came out
doing
of
it.
me just
Yeah.
looking for something to change the world with, and hell, Bitcoin came right on time.
Perfect, man. And I think when I was listening to your last interview you did with CK, it was like I was saying your story Bitcoin was made for, you know, to that come up where, coming out of jail, and we know the statistics of people who, come out and then their recidivism rates, people who go right on back, because man, I have that in my family as well. Like, it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, it's hard to get a job because that mark is on your record, and it pushes people outside of the regular, economic sort of workplace. And what you're doing, from bars to Bitcoin, sitting down with uh, different people who've gone to prison and then come back out, and they're starting their life new, and you're exposing them to this asset, and this asset says it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from,
Mm-hmm.
what you've done in the past. This is a clean slate, and is available to everybody. And for people who are the least heard, you have built this platform to show them, like, hey, like, you can build your wealth too as well, and you don't have to go to anybody else. There's no other institution to tell you no because of your past. So just talk about a little bit about that Clubhouse room, and then also we'll get into the classes that you do. But I think that's amazing.
So the clubhouse room is based off of one thing I knew about coming home from prison, that people who come home from prison are highly intelligent when they really have something to focus on. But most times than not, you are, and put a side note to that one. And folks who come home from prison, what they are great at is solving problems. Just by the sheer ingenuity that I've seen displayed by folks who come into prison while being there. I mean, I've gotten prison tattoos. Like I said many times before, like we used to do MacGyver things, charge cell phones with head wires. This was one guy who made popcorn with no microwave. So I
I don't even
mean,
know how you do that.
I did.
That's
I have not learned. I don't aspire
get
to
an
learn it,
Einstein
but I
around
did.
there.
I didn't try to learn it neither. Some shit I was just like, I ain't gonna need that, bro. No.
Tesla might need to hire him.
Yeah,
You got
but so when you think about like that though, like that type of brain in general has to go somewhere useful. So it's kind of like how mining, when you think of Bitcoin, how it uses untapped energy when it does mining, and people try to make all this fuss, but whatever. But you understand what I mean, right? Bitcoin uses energy that wasn't being used.
Mm-hmm.
So the same applies with the knowledge. You got to pass the real knowledge down to the population who's really being underserved and being overly used. You feel me? But it's the same type of idea. You have to tap into some unmoved energy. So when I look at it, how I think if you put someone who really wants to change their life coming home from prison in Bitcoin, it don't really matter what field you put them in, something will come out of it great. I don't know how long it'll take, but it will. And that type of ingenuity has to be put to use towards something that would benefit them first, then other people. So that's the premise of the room, really, to get as many people in who are either incarcerated currently, formerly, or organizations or family members, um, just to spread, really how much Bitcoin can use them, how much they can use Bitcoin. Like I really want to use the rooms for like real life, um, like you could say educational moments, maybe some bit of accountability. Hell, I might throw some type of coaching I have in there, just to really get the mindset ready for what's ahead. Because when you come home from prison, all the options you're given options that like really are made for teenagers. You could be well adult, 25 and up, working somewhere that only 16-year-olds supposed to be, and being majorly taken advantage of. So, you know, Bitcoin gives that person who's at least a hustler in some legal way or whatever type of way. But however you want to do it, Bitcoin gives you that opportunity to whatever money you touch to put aside and really develop a mindset of long term thinking. That's another thing. Most folks who go to prison, they already have long term thinking in mind. You had to wait for freedom that goddamn long. You feel me? So that's a different type of patience. And then on top of that, just a different type of way of learning. Understanding how a decentralized money can work, how a decentralized closed loop economy can work. Those things are already pretty much there. And plus, you won't really have to ask guys who really want it. You'll probably see more adoption of people coming home from prison on Bitcoin than any average professional.
Mm. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
everybody, like, you got to think about, like, when you compare populations of who actually take on hold, you have third world countries who take hold faster. America isn't a third world country, so most people would say, well, we don't really need them. Stop categorizing everybody as this damn weak.
Yeah.
You know what I
We're
mean?
gonna be the last
Because,
to adopt as a
like, yo,
country.
we saw
Yeah.
this. We saw the numbers. $17,000 average black home wealth, 170K white American. Shit. I mean, then, but we have a $1.2 trillion spending power. So the money don't go in the right direction. The money is there. It just don't go the right way. You know what I'm saying? Like that's negative $1.1 trillion of debt. I mean $1.2 trillion debt wealth ratio, if that is such a thing. If it's not, we just made it up. But anyway, you look at it, it don't
Right.
come across like makes sense.
It
It don't
sound
make
good.
no damn sense. So
Yeah.
like it don't make no damn sense. I mean, so
Mhm.
within that, you have to find a way to close that, man.
Yeah. I
And
mean, what you're talking about is uh, reaching that untapped potential, right? There's so
yeah,
much untapped potential out there, not just in the prison systems, but now we're looking. Well, my focus is like globally,
hmm,
right? When we look at Senegal, when we're looking at Bermuda and Tonga, shout out to Laura Fasitua, like he's definitely the homie. Um,
that's
it's
wild.
is yeah, is these countries who actually need it, right? Because they don't have their own monetary system. They're really beholden to other countries in their monetary system, whether it's France or is the United States. And so they're saying, like, hey, we want to remove ourselves from this oppressive system. I don't want to be dictated by some authority that lives 5,000 miles away. Like, why you get to tell us how we should spend our money and
Hmm,
what policies we should have, right?
hmm.
So it's really just taking your finances into your own hands, and that's what's afforded. And you definitely provide so many like resources and better understanding. I know I might have to cop that. We said the sharks was the book In the
Oh,
ocean filled with sharks. Yeah.
yeah. So there's going to be a few changes, but yeah, the book is still going to be lit. The book is still the book.
All right.
Just
So
know that.
stay tuned. That's what that means.
Yeah, and the book will still be
Get my
coming out
pre-order
in
real quick.
August. Book will still be coming out in August. So just
Hell yeah.
we'll make things adjust how they do. But however, I will tell you this: that mindset is still there in the book. You know, the mindset of an orca eating a shark. You got to actually go after big game. So that's what the habit. And I get that word messed up. So ferocity. I said that correct?
Ferocity.
Ferocity. Yeah, habit of
Yeah.
ferocity. I apologize. But
Mhm.
so anyway, what I'm saying is that's that mindset though. Like really, like you can compare it almost to a Mamba mentality type of stuff.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
R.I.P. Yeah.
yeah, like you just approach it like you go after it. Whatever the said object is, you go towards it. Whatever the obstacle is, you go toward. Ain't no point in going backwards. You know, a lot of times people don't realize why like they don't get past certain levels because every level you have a learning curve that's severe. There
Mm-hmm.
would be major L's in a learning curve. And the thing
Keep
and
moving
the cheat
forward.
code and the
Take
cheat
them and
code
keep
is
moving.
run through them
Yeah.
quickly. The
Yeah.
cheat code
Don't
is run
harbor on
through
it.
them. Oh, I failed. Throw it.
Yeah.
Throw it back. Just
Get back up.
fail. Just
Mm.
get all out.
Mm.
Just get them all out the way, man. God, leave. You got to learn from them, like because that, I mean that's what it is, man. Folks don't really want to. You got to go through that type of stuff. It don't matter where you are. And when I realized that sitting in prison, I'm like, oh, but it's gonna be a piece of cake when I get home.
Mhm.
I knew it.
Yeah, man. You said a word. You said a word. And I think a lot of us, especially who has been targeted by the system, right? Where there were unnecessary obstacles put in place. It's like, man, I keep on getting knocked down, keep on getting knocked down. But the important thing is just don't stay down. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
And then
Like,
when I
okay,
found
you take
Bitcoin
the hits.
in the midst of
Yeah.
that process, it was like, oh God, this is it. Like
We
this is
got a
what I've been
way.
waiting on.
We got a
No
door.
way this came this easy.
I'm about to sprint through
Yeah,
it.
no
Yeah.
way. And then you just like so when I came into Bitcoin, the only people I remember were the only people I remember like the very first person I remember, of course, is Bitcoin Zay. I met Sinclair Skinner, Miller L, Reggie Milliton. Like it was the first time for me. Like I only thing I met was black people. You
Mhm.
know, at the Washington in Washington D.C. I love black people like blockchain summit.
Wait, are you in DC now? Or
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
okay. I was about to say I'm in DC, so I was like, man, we definitely
Oh
gonna kick
yeah,
it real quick. But okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, so like just seeing it now, it's like damn, like those same people are together, and like we all just continuously move. So you asking like how this happened? Like my first time meeting Lamar was like 2018, but here's the thing: everybody just had the same frequency. If you own this level
Mhm.
of Bitcoin or just in Bitcoin, you understand why um, a consensus is real. You already agreed to a consensus. You already just move for what makes sense. You know what I mean? Like it really doesn't make sense to go against a movement where everybody still has their own lane but still helps you win. It's kind of like how Atlanta does rap.
Mm. Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah.
Like,
Just hey, just hop on this feature here. I got
yeah,
you. I'll hop on your feature. We all go to just
you know,
tossing up alley oops to each other.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
I
That's what it's
mean,
about. That's what I love. And that's the energy that I felt automatically. Automatically. So how I first started was just writing articles. So, my background, I'm a media director and it's in immigration. So that's why I have a global mindset. And I sit down, I do interviews. And then also when there's a new policy that comes out, I write about that. So I've always been, keen to Bitcoin, but I was like, I want to take this more seriously and move into this space. And listened to a couple of Black Bitcoin billionaire like clubhouses, and I might have sent you an article too. I was like, hey,
You
this is
did.
some stuff that I'm
Yeah.
working on. Like, this is, I really care about this space, and y'all just dope. You're cool. Like, check it out. And Lamar, like, he read it. He's like, oh no, this is actually dope. Like, for real. Like,
Yeah.
like, I was like, man, hey,
It was
pen is
lit.
my
It was
pen. You know
lit.
what I'm saying? So I
It
was like, I
was
can
lit.
write. So he was just like, oh yeah, like if you want to continue to write for us, and that's why I came up with ideas. I was like, I do interviews as well, and it's literally just like that. It
Mhm.
doesn't take too much, and when people come out and reach to me and say, hey, how can I help? It's like, hey, you can help write, or like, do interviews any sort of way, whatever your expertise is, just do that. And you have support. That's the thing. I was like, when I saw this community, it was just instant support. And I was like, dog, like, come on.
Yeah, we already know. I'm telling you,
Had
like you
to.
already know it don't work. Once you already know that don't work, first of all, you already know money don't work. So naturally, you got towards the money that worked. Then you knew that all the other ways of trying to move forward didn't work. Just don't do that shit either. See, I mean, everybody still moves as a unit, but individually. Just how Bitcoin is intended. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not gonna get stopped neither. Um, it's just gonna continuously grow.
Not
It
at all.
makes more it
No,
makes more sense to almost, of course, of course, make your own living as you do whatever, but to at least know you now have, because before time, all right, so check this out. I'm pretty sure most black people who are in Bitcoin before 2020, before 2017 ish, when you really saw or just really anytime, when you really saw the power of Bitcoin, but it has to be before 2020, it has to be. You will always try to figure out, man, how am I gonna get this message to my people, man? Don't nobody seem to give a damn around me. Everybody felt like that around them. When Clubhouse came about, you knew you had a community you could give something to. Because before, like, you really had a community. Like, people wanted to give, people would give, but eventually you can't always give to people who don't receive. Because then you get used. You feel me? And your value, your worth and your value is not valued at all. It's nowhere near respected. So you don't really want to, you ain't gonna do nothing. You're just gonna hoard all the information. And that was probably a lot of folks, probably except for folks probably like Lamar, because he had that big following on the book. But I mean, for the most part, a lot of people have a problem with, the word spreading or even trying to share the word because they don't know. But once Clubhouse was formed, Black Bitcoin Billionaires was formed, and you started seeing the amount of people who were like, "Hey,
we're here.
help
We
us,
exist.
SOS, goddamn, we need help. We want to know this." It's like, whoa. So now you actually, like, even if you don't have a charity to give to, this is still giving. You start seeing the power of giving. And like one thing I learned in prison, this brother said, he said, the worst type of person you could be is a person who hoards the knowledge. He said, if you share it and people don't receive it, he said, then there's nothing on you. But if you're the most intelligent person in the room, then you're always held accountable. So if someone wants to say, yeah, I met Bitcoin Big. He ain't tell you about Bitcoin? Nah. What the hell was he thinking?
Gotta learn
I'll
it,
be
then
held
share it.
accountable for it.
Yeah.
The world online, they're going to hold me accountable. You ain't mention it. Oh, damn, I didn't. I mean, it's still not my fault, but just think about that from the outside perspective. And it kind of is. You have to mention something. So, I mean, when the conversation is brought up, of course, not just saying, hey, I'm Bitcoin.
By the way, he's like, what?
Who
Just talking
cares?
about real estate. But I thank you so much for being one of the leaders in the space. And if there's any other rooms or clubhouses, books, classes come out, please let us know, because you're
Okay.
one of the great educators. But before you go, tell us like where people can find you and get access to all the stuff that you're doing.
Okay, so everybody on watching this, you can send me a code. You know, I always love sending out codes. So if you DM me the code BBBN, okay, send that to my DM on
My
Twitter
G.
or Instagram BBBN, and you know that'll give you a discount to my course. That's traditionally $200, and for the BBB members is always 75. But for that code as well, you can get it for $75. Also, you can find me on Instagram, Bitcoin Vegan, Twitter, Bitcoin_vegan. Follow me on Clubhouse, and be ready for my book that will be dropping in August, late August. And yeah, most definitely. Thank you, Ian, for having me on here. I appreciate this time, brother.
I appreciate it. And next time you might have to make a vegan cookbook. I would love to see how you whip up a a vegan dish,
I
you
might,
know.
I might try something. Instead of
That's what's
only,
up.
I'm making digital only for Bitcoin. Matter of fact, I'll do that.
Yeah. See, hey,
Yeah,
thoughts. All right, my G. I appreciate it so much. You're super dope. So
yes, sir.
I appreciate the time, man.
Have a good one, man.